Hello Flosstube, it's Lori of Mischievous Stitches. I want to welcome all of you all to my channel this weekend. I'm very glad that you're here visiting with me. I have several things to share with you this weekend. I want to share with you the progress I've made on my 2 current cross stitch focus pieces, as well as my progress on my Afghan for my daughter Jordan. I have a finished project bag that I made using a tutorial from one of our friends here on Flosstube, as well as a couple of past finishes, and a little bit of haul, just a teeny bit. But I can't wait to share with you, so let's get started. So I have spent this weekend, the majority of this weekend, in Rip Island, South Carolina. It's right off the coast of Beaufort. It is one of several small, it's a chain of little islands there, and that being the last one. And I've been going to Fripp Island for probably a little over 20 years. And, you know, not every single year, some years I do miss, but have been visiting Fripp Island for several years. This time of year, it's considered the off season. But it's just a beautiful setting. Just like I said, I feel so rejuvenated coming back after spending such a wonderful weekend there at Fripp. And I just wanted to share with you what I've been working on. And this is the Sweetheart Tree. It is a past whip. I started this maybe 2015, I believe. And I had only, when I picked this back up this month, I only had L finish. When I say L, I just mean the letter, none of the other stitches around it, just the pink L, the beginnings of the O, and the blue border boxes. So I picked it up this weekend and ended up mainly only stitching on this piece, because not only do you cross stitch those border boxes, you also back stitch. Let me say that again, back stitch those border boxes, and I am probably 1 to 2 threads away from finishing that back stitching. So I did complete every one of the letters, or completed the pink part, just the letters, none of the stitches around them. The lettering is completed, the boxes are completed, and I'm working, and probably tonight we'll finish the back stitching of those boxes, and then I will begin to work all these specialty stitches, the flowers and like the lattice work here on this one. So let me show you where I'm at. So last weekend when I had the iron out, I made sure to iron because there was a crease in it. It had been stored in that bag for several years, and so I was concerned that maybe the crease would not come out, but I used some of the spray that we use. What is the name of that spray? I'll think of it in a little bit, but I spritzed it a couple of times with that spray, and of course the wrinkle that was creased right down the center come out with no problem. So this, when I got to Fripp Island this weekend, which was, I actually drove up Friday morning, I completed the O, the V, and the E. And that evening I began to do the back stitching around the outer border. So yesterday I focused on doing the back stitching around both sides of the border, within the square, and then the outer square, the cross section here. And I think where I'm at now, let me see if I didn't end off, but I think the E, and I was, you know, that's a lot of work to me. I'm not a fan of back stitching. I, however, do recognize the beauty that back stitching brings out in stitches. So I stuck with it, and I was also concerned that maybe part of the back stitching would be needed and important when I did the specialty stitches that are that surround each one of these letters. So I'll let you know how it goes next weekend. I do plan to finish this out hopefully by the end of February. I'm careful not to say next weekend, because I know that the end of the month, I think, is what, Sunday or Monday of next week. But I'm hoping to finish this and have this as a share. That way I can pick up another whip. So keep your fingers crossed and all your stitches crossed that I can get this finished for next weekend. Of course, will be right back here to share it with you. So that was my main thing that I worked on, with the exception of my crochet piece. And this is for my daughter Jordan. And I have lovingly, and you guys have laughed and accepted this, my name for it, but this is my Burger King Afghan for my daughter Jordan. And so I got several more rows. I'm working on another row of green. So here I am. So I currently have 1, 2, 3 repeats. So I would say around halfway. And if I do as I've done this past week, which was put in which is 4 rows, but put in one color every day on lunch break, and try to do the same in the evening when I come home, I could possibly finish this by the end of this week or this month. Let me say again, this month as well. So that's going to be my goal. And if not finish, at least finish the crochet, because we all know that weaving these tails in is going to take me a little bit of time, maybe a few hours, but anyway, I'm excited about that. So I'm hoping to go out of February, just as I did out of January, with two finishes. Both of the ones in January were actually whips. One was a crochet whip. One was a cross stitch whip from 2020. If I go out with these two, I will have a whip finish from 2015. And this is a 2021 start. So a 2021 start and finish in February, and a 2015 whip finish in February. So I did want to share with you this. I picked this up over the summer. We had visited a cross stitch shop in Tennessee, the Dixie Darling. It's in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, really within walking distance of this wonderful family style restaurant called the Old Mill, which is what the Pigeon Forge is named after. The forge was in the Old Mill, and Dixie Darling, the cross stitch shop, is within walking distance of the Old Mill. But this was just a little pouch that they had there. They had several, and it's just a carrot, but it's a cinch bag carrot, and they had just some stuffing in it when I purchased it. But I've got my scissors in there, and I think it's the perfect little piece. So I did share this with a friend this weekend, and she immediately got online and found a tutorial. She loved it. It's perfect for Easter, and found a tutorial online about how to finish these up. And she's going to make some for herself, but she shared the tutorial for me. So maybe I'll give that a go in April and see if I can't finish this up, or finish one up similar to this one for some of my other pairs of scissors for Easter. And if I do, I'll be sure to share it with you. The only thing I do see with this one is if you notice, there's only a drawstring on one side, and having recently made a drawstring pouch, I would like to have the drawstrings on both sides, because if you notice, that side doesn't want to cinch up just right. But if you've got the two sides cinched together, it'd be a different deal. But all in all, it's such a cute finish and such a wonderful seasonal way just to store your scissors within your project. So I'll let you know how it goes, and if it goes well, I will be sure to post the tutorial I found to share with all of you. Okay, the next thing I have is my current piece that I've been focusing on much, and that is the Sampler Story by Brenda Keys, excuse me. So this is the pattern, but it had a little, what is that, maybe a 5x7 photo, 4x6 photo of the piece. And so it is 6x4 squares. So 6 across, 4 squares down, and I have completed a total of 4 squares. my goal was to finish up the 4, so I met my goal for this week, and I have begun very small beginnings on both of these squares. So my goal for this coming week, because I want to focus on finishes on those other 2s, I may not get as much work done on this one this weekend or this coming week, but I'd like to finish those 2. And let me show you where I am with this one. So here it is. So as you can see, that 3rd and the 3rd square from the left and the one beneath it are not completed, but they have begun. The other 4 stitches, the other 4 squares are completed. And I would at least this week, what I've been doing is, because I find the border a little boring. And what I would like to do is, and I have been doing that in the evening, is just using at least 1 thread, if not doing 2, one before I start stitching, one after, and working on the borders of some of these pieces. I would like to get the complete border done. All of the squares are 47 by 47. And so it's easy to remember, but there's an inner and an outer. If you look on that top portion, you'll see there's an inner and outer border. So you're doing it twice. I'm stitching this on a 25 count linen. It's a mystery linen that I had in my stash, so I don't know. It's obviously a Zweigert, but it's 25 count, and I'm using 1 stitch over 1. I have stitched over 1 several times. I know that I was sharing with everyone how I stitched over 1 to ensure, last weekend, to ensure that the threads do not, the cross-stitch threads do not sink behind the linen threads. And I got a lot of tips and things, and I always appreciate tips, but this is just the way I've always done it. It works for me. I don't have a problem with the threads sinking behind. I just basically do my cross stitches like normal, but I do them one at a time, like I would do with a variegated thread, so that I could get the full effect of the variegation. I stitch one at a time, but I reverse the way I stitch them normally, so that I have a thread going behind the next stitch that helps to anchor the threads. And I thought I would share with all of you a couple of my favorite pieces that I have stitched over 1, so I brought those down. I don't remember the name of this one. This is a Brenda Cup design. They are no longer, I don't believe Brenda Cup is designing anymore. I'm almost 100% certain that their patterns are out of print. You can sometimes find them on eBay. I don't remember the name of this one, but what drew me to this one was that square there. I loved that one. It reminded me of Queen Elizabeth I. And I stitched this one over 1, and I can't remember if it was 28 or 32 count. I wish I had kept better records when I stitched this, but it's been stitched probably 10 years now. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Love those soft muted tones. The over 1 just seems to give so much more definition. The colors seem to be on the linen just more saturated. And the other one, which is my favorite over 1 piece, I actually won a ribbon for this one, was my By the Bay piece, and this is 13th Colony Bay. Now, where the Brenda Cup design was stitched on a linen, I stitched this one on an even weave. I'm sorry about that glare. Let me angle it. There you go. I stitched this one on an even weave 25 count with 1 strand over 1 linen thread. And as you can see, you don't see any of the fabric behind those threads. So it works very well. I'm finding, and what I was mentioning in my last video, is that I'm stitching with the linen. You can, in certain parts, see some of the threads behind the stitching, the linen threads, the color of the linen behind the stitches. And part of that's because with linen, you have uneven vertical and horizontal threads. Some are fatter than others, some are extremely thin, sometimes you have a slub. And because of the unevenness of the linen, which is one of the things we love, it doesn't always lend itself for even stitchings with the over one. Well, it doesn't lend itself to even stitches with any of them, because if you're stitching on a slub, you've just got a fat stitch. But what I'm getting at, if you're wanting a more even stitch and the coverage to be more even, and don't want that possibility of having those linen threads show beneath your stitch threads, then you may want to consider an even weave. Let me see if I can share with you a spot on my current piece. I don't think I have my glasses. Oh, I do have my glasses. Hold on. Well, you know, I ironed this, and that's something else. I stitch on an LVC frame, and it's a clamp frame that I clamp to a TV tray, and I pull the tray in front of me while I stitch on my little couch. With that being said, when my fabric is pulled tight within my frame, it opens those threads up. What I was trying to show you, I just ironed the piece, and of course it's not in the frame, and I can't see the spots that I knew I could see threads behind. And that must just be from the ironing and me releasing it from the frame, because definitely on that house, I could see some of the shadows. Can you see it? You can barely see it, but maybe up in the chimney. Can you see the shadow of the linen behind? It's not enough to bother me. But I was going to use that as an example, and it was a poor example. I know prior to my ironing it, I could see some of the threads behind the red in the barn. And that's not the case here. So I'm happy with that. Never mind. So there's that. So this coming week, I'm going to focus on having those two finished and 2 finishes on the other one. Am I stretching myself thin? Am I stretching myself too thin this week that you can see my linen threads beneath me? Maybe so, but I'll have fun doing it. And I did want to show you one other past finish. I told you we went to Fripp Island, and I have been doing that for several years. And one of the things I did years ago, it was the first time I ever did this, and I shared a tutorial maybe last year sometimes, on how to do these little boxes, and they're card boxes. And this was the first one I ever did, and I always took it with me when I went to Fripp Island. So this is the inside of my little box, and this is my needle keep, and I've got a counting pin there. And one of the ladies I met there was from Florida, and she brought us years ago an alligator magnet, and there's alligators on Fripp Island too. But these are little things I keep in the box, but the main thing I really wanted to share with you was this. And one of the ladies that, her name is Carol, designed this little tiny needle keep for us in 2000. I'm assuming it was 2012. Maybe it was prior to that, and that's when I stitched it. But she designed this, and I stitched it up, and I believe this is a buttonhole stitch in the edges. And she didn't call for these little brads to be put here, but I put those there and put a piece of ribbon there to hold it together. Let me flip it up. And I've got my pins there, my needles. And then, of course, this is just a piece of fabric that I think there was one of the Pellon double-sided, what do you call that? Adhesive is the right word because they adhese together, but one of the Pellon strips that had the glue on both sides, and this fabric is just There's a piece of the pellon between two pieces of fabric to give it some substance, so it's a little thicker. But anyway, it was just a sweet little memento that she designed for all of us, and this is the emblem that is used on Fripp Island as the sails of a boat. So when you buy a shirt or a hat or a coffee mug or koozie, whatever you're buying as little tourist trinkets from the island, they're going to have this little emblem to signify that it was Fripp Island. So there's that. And I also, this year, have been collecting, just in general, old pieces of glassware, specifically jadeite and milk glass. And I also love the Pioneer Woman kitchen supplies, plates and bakeware, and I have several pieces of those. But currently, if you visit Walmart here in the States, and you can order them online as well from walmart.com, they have lots of the Pioneer Woman supplies, and they have these little sauce bowls. I have several in a different pattern, but we use them like if we're having fries or steaks and we put steak sauce in it, or ketchup when we're having fries or what have you. We use them as little sauce bowls. And these are some that I picked up, and they make wonderful Ort containers. They're the perfect size. And I got one, there's 4 different ones. 2 are different shades of blue, and then there's the milk glass and the jadeite glass. And let's see how small they are. So they're just perfect to put on the table when you're at a stitch, or just here at the house. I have another little clay bowl that I bought at a pottery place that I store my orts in upstairs, and it sits on the base of my light. But I thought I'd share that with you. Thought if you wanted to jump out and get some before they go. I just think they're beautiful. I think that you could probably use them and put a stitched item in there. I mean, honestly, you could make a little pincushion. Make your own design, or adapt a piece from a blackbird design and just place it, insert it into here, finish it up, and insert it as a pincushion. I just like them for Ort containers, but I thought I would share that with you. So I really like them. And then last weekend, I got up and I had watched, what's her name? Not Emily Ann. Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. And she had posted a zippered pouch tutorial for us. I watched it a couple of times to make sure I felt comfortable doing these things. I keep telling all of you over and over as I finish things, I know just enough to be dangerous. I almost lost my religion over making this pouch. I think I can follow instructions, and I'm a visual learner, so having the tutorial was wonderful. I've only put in a zipper one other time, and it was another YouTube tutorial for using the Pioneer Woman placemats to make bags. I struggled with it a little bit because the zipper wouldn't lay just so. This one, I got the fabric too close. This one is the first one I've used a zipper foot on. I had to get online to look and see what the zipper foot looked like, and I did have one with my sewing machine. I know now I made mistakes. I'm saying all of this to say it was still a good experience because I learned. I learned to stay away from zippers in that I don't have to be right up next to them. They don't have to be my best buddy, but to keep my needle a little further away from the zippers. How it turned out, I love it. Will I make another? Absolutely. But I wanted to share with all of you, even though I made mistakes. Can you tell? This is my zipper pouch. I absolutely love the fabric. I posted a picture of this pouch on Instagram. A lot of you commented about the fabric. I got it from Walmart again. There is a section, the craft section has, I think it's the Waverly fabric. I think that's what it's called. And they're prepackaged 1 yard pieces. and that was what I purchased. So I have enough to do more. What I did learn about it, there's got to be a better way to cut fabric so I'm not wasting so much fabric. That was one mistake, one thing I would like to learn. So if Elizabeth Ann watches this, I would like to know that if I have a yard piece, the best way so I'm not wasting fabric, because I felt like I was wasting a lot of fabric. The other thing is when I sandwiched the pieces together, it was supposed to be backed with this. So after, let's just say the seam ripper became my very best friend during this process. And I had that seam ripper in hand many times. And thank goodness Jesus loves me, because I lost my religion, said lots of words I shouldn't have been saying, to the point it got my husband's attention. He keeps saying this bag whooped my butt. He was exactly right. So I sandwiched it wrong together. So this side is not backed with the stabilizer. The inner part is. But once again, all in all, I'm still happy with it, because when I pictured this being my backing fabric, it would not have lined up right. So it would have been very obvious, like this part here seems to be cohesive. It wouldn't have been like that here. So how it turned out, that was a happy mistake. Made a mistake, but I liked it. But overall, like I said, I learned a lot. Going forward, it will not take me 3 hours. And I say 3 hours because I had a lot to learn. It will take me less than 3 hours. I like this mistake. I learned not to get so snug and close to that zipper as I'm sewing. I love it. And I want to say, Elizabeth Ann, thank you so much for taking the time to do that for us. I appreciate all the tutorial videos I can get from all of you. I watch them, I learn from them. I try to mimic exactly what you're doing when I find one that I'm really interested in doing. And I learn from every one of y'all. So this is not criticism on her at all. It's criticism of myself, but I'm thankful that I can criticize myself because I'm learning. It's a learning process. Okay. The other thing, I did receive a sweet Valentine card. I have not received a Valentine card in a long time, and I got this from Lisa, the Silver Stitcher. So I just wanted to say thank you, Lisa. I loved it. It put a smile on my face when I got it, just because, like I said, I've not gotten a Valentine card in a long time, and I absolutely loved it. I love the vintage, even love the vintage look of it, and even the inside of the envelope was beautiful. So thank you so much, Lisa. I'm going to link her below. If you're not watching her, go check her out. She's got a Flosstube as well. And I did get a little bit of haul in, and I'm probably going to start this tonight. So like I said, am I stretching myself too thin this week? Probably so. But it's okay because I don't have to finish this one in February. But this is Lydia Burgess, 1851, from Victoria Rose Needle Arts. I've loved this for a while. It's been in my wish list for a while, and I just finally pulled the trigger. I did buy a piece. It calls for a piece of oaken. Picture this plus oaken. I got a piece of bramble, which is more gray than it is green, but this is 36 count bramble Edinburgh linen. And I was going to pull the colors for you. Now, if you look at this, oaken, it looks green, but oaken, I believe, is more brown. And it has blue. One of the colors is blue. I think it's 3036, which to me, I know is a bright blue, vibrant blue, which is unusual in a sampler. Gray, I think, matches or goes better with blue than a bright khaki or taupe color. So I got the bramble, and I'm going to make a small start on that today. So, but yeah, I pulled the threads. I was going to show them to you all, and there's only 6 threads, and I have 3 of them. Just don't seem right. I've got them. They're just in a kit somewhere. I think that's everything. I've got a whole table here full of things, and I think that's it. So, one other thing, since I'm seeing it over my shoulder, every time I do a video in here, I get a lot of questions about this pattern. And I stitched this in 2007. This is Rhapsody in Blue by 4 Oaks Designs. I do not know if they're still designing. I do know I have seen this in shops before, the pattern, but it's by 4 Oaks Designs, and it is originally done in blue. I did it in a color called Topiary. I don't remember if it was the thread line was it's like silken colors and then something in colors, but it was in that line, but the color was Topiary. So it's my colors. It's a burgundy and a hunter green and an orange and a mustard yellow. And those are the colors that Topiary is. And so I did it in one single color of thread, but it was a variegated thread. And I changed the linen color. I think that is Weeks Dye Works Cocoa, the old base. So for those of you that have asked about that, once again, that is Rhapsody in Blue by 4 Oaks Designs. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the weekend. All of my stitcher friends there in Texas, I don't even know what to say. 2020 is running into 2021, and there are so many things you wouldn't even think would be possible that's happening. And my heart goes out to you, and my prayers are there for you. So I just know I'm thinking about all of you. So have a wonderful rest of the week, and until next time, hugs and stitches. Bye-bye.